Hello, everyone. This is Carol Dimitrov with OPA Outreach, and today we are pleased to have Angela Tiki with us. Angela is going to be talking about Athena Pallas, the art of wisdom. And as you know, this asteroid has so much history. And Angela is going to be talking about the female archetype of wisdom, strategy, and war as a symbol of eternal maidenhood. She represents purity and cleanliness, both in body and spirit. Athena Pallas can be found in many Hellenistic myths, standing on the side of great heroes and guiding them through her intellect and clear-eyed perception to accomplish their ultimate mission, an allegory of our life's journey. Pallas Athena has been actively involved in the major planetary transits of current times and playing a crucial role in the dramatic changes. So what is her message? In this presentation, Angela is going to discuss some of the gifts and how they relate to our natal chart according to the sign and house placement. And Angela Tiki is a Greek OPA certified professional astrologer based in Athens, operating locally, but also sharing her expertise among an international clientele. Inspired by the Hellenistic philosophy and spirit, she approaches the chart as a tool for self-awareness, development, and personal fulfillment. In addition to her consulting services, she teaches astrology, organizes workshops, and gives lectures at international conferences. She also writes for our magazine, the Career Astrologer magazine, and has done so since 2016. She has served as the Greek satellite for OPA, which I want to just stop there and say thank you, Angela, for all the amazing work you do for OPA.
Thank you.
You're welcome. She is the founder of the Astrology School of Athena Pallas Astrology, and she's the organizer of the 2019 International Conference, the Hellenistic Astrological Symposium in Greece. And she has done extensive research on Asteroid Pallas while she is preparing a book on this topic. She's also presented the weekly astrological trends on a television show in her homeland of Greece, which we were just talking about, which is a daily occurrence for her. So she's a very busy lady. We're very fortunate to have you, Angela.
And I'm fortunate. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're going to be able to find Angela on Facebook and watch her videos on her YouTube channel. And you can visit her at angelatiki.com and make sure that you click on that link and you can find out all about Angela and her work and her consultations and her writing. And with that, Angela, it's all yours.
Thank you. So I want to thank everybody who has joined us and are interested in listening about Pallas Athena, this goddess which I adore. Before we start, I want to say that I'm going to refer to Athena Pallas as a she, not because I want to separate, in a gender way. I am doing it because I'm going to take you back in the beginning, which was in ancient Greece, and the way they were looking at her and how she was the opponent of Mars. So we have this, not distinction, but we have these opposites of a very aggressive male, let's say, energy, and a very strong female energy, which can be for women, but it can be for those, I'm going to explain later, it can be for those who are not in power. And you'll see what I'm talking about in a while. So another thing that I wanted to explain to you is that as it progressed, of course, in the Roman times, all planets, and I'm talking about the archetypes of gods, have changed. And so Athena Pallas, actually, she was diminished, let's say, and Mars was better worshipped. So at that time, it was Minerva. And losing a little bit of the power that she has and what actually she means and why they were worshiping her and why. And also I would like to say I'm so sorry to my friends in Turkey, but there was an explosion. It was hard and I'm so sorry for what has happened. Prayers with you. That's all I wanted to say. So let's start. Pallas Athena welcomes you. This is the chart on how the planets are right now. I don't choose the dates. It's like you have this available, choose one. And we have today and right now, at this moment, we have this kite pattern, and the moon is about to join Pallas in Cancer, searching and looking for this security and protection, and need to keep safe either our home, ourselves, our soul, our countries, land, the world itself. So Pluto is opposing it, and it's going to be exact at the end of November. So there is this, there are these control issues about manipulating. There is a fear, there is death, unfortunately. And there is a tendency to look at the darker side of the things so far. But in reality, if we look at Pallas Athena, it's a way to deepen in and start thinking with a greater wisdom and transform in reality. So I'm going to start with this myth of the birth of Athena. She was the daughter of Zeus in ancient Greek, so you know it's Jupiter, and her mother was Metis. This was the first wife of Jupiter, and she was also the personification of wisdom and prudence. But she was in reality representing a more primitive era where cunning and vigilance are important in order to survive. So keep that. It's not only being wise, you have to use other ways in order to survive that are very important. And this we're going to look later why it's important while keeping it. So what happened was there was an oracle saying that Zeus was about to lose his throne and his power by a male son. So what he did was that he swallowed his wife Metis. And remember, this is a repetitive pattern because this is what his father Kronos used to do. So he was afraid that this will happen. Instead of killing her, he swallowed her. So what happened is that by this move, let's say, the mental qualities and everything that Metis was representing, she was smarter, let's say, in a way, from Zeus. These were all embedded in Zeus, and they were all combined together. So Athena Pallas, Athena in reality, not Pallas yet, she was born out of his head and with the help of Hephaestus. And this is something we have to keep in mind, because Hephaestus was the god, who was with iron. He was using iron and creating weapons. And also he is the god of technology, of the technology that was still going on back then. She came out with his help, and she was fully armored, which means that she was prepared. She came out already wise, and by wearing a helmet, she was holding her shield, and she immediately bent down in front of, Zeus, her father, which was an act of recognizing him as the ultimate god. She's a warrior, she's wise, and she's the favored daughter. But even though she does this bending, is it really true, that she accepted his power better than hers? No, it's not the case. She was favored and she could do whatever she liked. Then we have other myths like the Medusa, which is one of the most important myths, like it accompanies Athena Pallas. The myth was about, the beautiful priestess that was serving in her temple. And because she was flirting with Poseidon. And I want to tell you, there was an evolving, because maybe you know the myth, but it gradually through the years changed from raping her, that Poseidon raping her, but this was something that was added later. And it's not just something that it had happened randomly. Usually all the myths depicts of current events or things that they want to be said. So now we're going to say it in the way that she was flirting with Poseidon, and because she didn't stay like respecting the temple, which was the sacred temple, Athena Pallas turned her into this ugly creature full of snakes in her hair. And then the problem was that from a very wonderful and beautiful woman, creature, nobody could look at her anymore, because now whoever looked at her turned into a stone. It's like freezing. And this also reflects the ugliness of our lives, any ugliness we have in our soul, any ugliness we have in our society, and any ugliness there is around us that will not allow us to be pure and to be wise. So according to the myth, Perseus killed this creature by doing what? By reflecting her face through the shield, which was given by Athena, and then decapitated the head, and this was worn on the shield by Athena. I want to say something, that Medusa comes from the word, the verb medo, which in ancient Greek means protect and reign. Reign, I mean, I'm the ruler, right? Reigning. So no word and no epithet and no name was used or given by chance and without having anything to say. So in this case, well, ugliness, looking at that through the mirror, we can see what happens through others, or many times we can reflect ourselves or our bad habits and things that we are not good. Let's say we are reflecting it to others, giving it like a poison, because this is what Medusa had. It was a poison that can harm you. But at the same time, the same blood was also healing and therapeutical. So that we have these two edges, like the bad side and the good side, let's say. So if you combine all this together, we have Athena, who was born from the head of Zeus, and then we have Medusa's head, which was decapitated. So you do understand we're all talking about this upper level, which is the perception, which is the thinking, which is the understanding, which are the senses like be able to see, be able to understand, be able to think and make choices. So another very important myth is about the rival of Athena and Poseidon, as the inhabitants of Athens actually wanted to ask for either of these two gods to become the protector of the city. And then they asked them to give them something like a gift. So Athena gave the olive oil, the tree of olive, and out of which we take the olives, we take the oil and the wood. On the other hand, Poseidon gave water like a spring, because it's also a very important element that we all need, right? But anyway, there was a vote, and at the end, it was Athena who won. But the detail was that the fact of that winning was because one vote was more, and that because women were more. So as Poseidon was very angry, he flooded the city, and men, we come back to men, male inhabitants and citizens were very angry with women, because they said, it was you who made the choice, we do accept it, But what happened, and the distraction was due to you, women. So we take out all the rights from you. You are not able to vote or take any decision of all the political and social things that are happening in our cities. You have to stay home, let's say, or you have to stay behind the scenes. So isn't that like a myth which has to justifies the patriarchic state of the city and the social standings? But in any case, women doesn't mean, or in this case we're talking about women, doesn't mean that they don't have an opinion or they cannot affect, but this is happening behind the scenes. And another one which has to do with Erychthonius, which is the son of Athena Pallas, and he was a mythical king. Listen to that. Actually, one day, the myth says that Hephaestus lasted Athena, and he went after her. He wanted, to have her. And so Athena always had to keep her purity. She was a virgin. She wanted to stay like this. But somehow, even though she managed to escape, Hephaestus sent her, through his sperm. And she wiped out this sperm on the ground, and then it was Gaia, the goddess of earth, that was fertilized. And she buried this sperm, the union from Athena. How? There was no ovaries involved or whatever. Just think a little bit. I'm going to say to you why. So at the end, she gave birth, Gaia, to this Erychthonius, who was the son of Athena Pallas, and she accepted it and raised him as her own son. So this myth gives this technology that we are going through, and now we are able for vitrofertilization, I hope I'm saying it correctly, and the surrogate pregnancy. And we will see it later in results in other examples in charts, but I have one I'm going to tell you about, like Kim Kardashian, that she has a very prominent Pallas Athena in her chart, and she did have, her children out of surrogate pregnancy. So for Pallas Athena, we say she's the counselor, she's detached from the emotions and any other distractions. Actually, this is what she needs, and this is what she represents in the chart and how we have to go through. She's a female power, even either if we're talking about a woman or if we're talking about someone who is, let's say, you're working in a working environment and somebody else has the authority and you don't have it. So it's another power that you might have through Athena Pallas, okay? But in this case, when it comes to a female, it's like the one that she's not following the man, but the man, she doesn't want to show that she's above that. Of course, this stands for same-sex couples. I mean, one can be the counselor of the other, one might be stronger than the other, or, this happens in between the couples. One is like having more power than the other one. But if you don't see the one that you think has no power and you believe that is always a follower, there is a chance that in the future you're going to have a problem. You never say about somebody that you don't deserve, you're not worthy, or I'm not going to listen to you. At the end, you're going to pay for that. So she's not a threat, but she is a threat in reality, because she presents herself like this, but she's very powerful. Also, she's the protector of the heroes. That's very important. Challenges are given by Hera. Hero comes from the word, from the name Hera, the wife of Zeus. So she gives the challenges, and Athena Pallas always protects the heroes, the ones only that they're willing to redeem. She is a virgin, we said that, and this has to do with the mental, with emotional, or ethical purity. Also, she was the protector, of weaving. Weaving, I think it's a word. I hope I'm not saying it in a wrong way. So as she weaves the veil, Symbolically, it has to do with every decision in our lives, every act that we are taking. This is what weaves the life. And this is the veil that we create. And this is the representation of our life. And this is what designs a pattern. She was a sworn enemy of Aries Mars, which, actually all gods detested Mars because he represents mostly the raw instincts and the impulses when he's not thinking, when he goes after what he wants, and he's, warm-blooded. And that's why they didn't like him, and they preferred, of course, and respected more Athena. But as I told you, later times during the Roman era and the empire, it was Mars, of course, who was the god that they worshipped. And also we said about Poseidon, who is the vagueness. So he's like the opponent because of the vagueness, but he was her uncle. There are a few names that are given to Athena, and as Asteroid, we call it Pallas, was giving the name Pallas, and we know that it was an honoring, this was because she honored her best friend, whom she accidentally killed. But this was something that had to be done. This was a sacrifice that had to be done in order to protect herself. So look at that, how many times in our life we have to sacrifice something, which of course we never forget. And this sacrifice remains with us forever. But this is what we had to do in order to protect ourselves, in order to protect our people, our loved ones, and generally our decisions around it has one and only aim, and that is to keep existing and surviving. And I'm not talking about killing somebody. I'm talking about situations that we had to survive, decisions that we had to survive. Okay, but we honor them by remembering them. And most of the times has to do with honor the mistakes we have done. Maybe we have to remember them because this is what guides us, and this is like a weapon to us. So another one is like Glakopis. So Glafkos, in Greek I'm going to say it, Glafkos, and Opsis is the blue eyes. And this is the name given also for the owl. This is the blue eyes, and this is the eyes that they can see when everybody cannot see. So during the night, an owl is able to see and watch and understand the environment and know what is going on, right? So the sacred bird of Athena, in reality, as a Glafkopis for Athena, it means that our wisdom, when something is not seen, in reality, it's not in front of us, but we are able to see behind in the darkness. Another one is that Arian, and of course has to do with Arios Pagos, the Supreme Court, because she had the right to attend to trials, and she had the right to participate with a vote, but also it is not only for justice, justifying people, being able to give justice, but in some cases, also keep that in mind. In some cases, she had to see all the events that have led somebody into this position. And this an example of this is the trial of Orestes, who was dragged to court because he had murdered his mother Clytemnestra, who she had also murdered, however, Orestes' father. So what actually led him into this action is something that Athena took into account and voted in favor and saved him. Ergani, we talked about, the veil, it has to do with the protector of craftsmen and handicraft. Parthenos, and like the Parthenon, means virgin, like the pure. Promachos, it's prior to battle. So even when she was not battling, she was not in a battle, she was fully armored and always prepared, not sleeping like this. She's always alert, ready to go into the battle, ready to have a strategy for the battle, and of course for us, for our lives. And Polias, which comes from Poli, it's the city, as the protector of the city. And I want just to add a little detail that Athena was so important that she had her own separate temple in Delphi. So this is the Parthenon. And before I go into the chart that I have for you, maybe some of you might have seen it if you have seen, if you had attended the conference in Athens in 2019. If not, this is it's a big surprise for what I'm going to show you. So everybody knows, all scholars know widely that the winning of the Persians in Thermopylae and Salamina, okay, these battles have turned the world in a different direction. So what we have now, it's like, because they have stopped the Persians, and so the history changed. So what happened is, because the city was destroyed, and they had this other temple for Athens in Acropolis, which was the Promachos that we said prior to the battle, was the warrior goddess. So they decided that they have to build a new temple. Which temple? This temple had to be not for the battle, but for virgins. So that's why it's called Parthenon. So this temple was actually given to people, introduced, let's say. It was on August 11th of 438 BC. So I took that as a chart that has to be like a birth of Athena. So this is the new Athena, how this democracy, let's say, or whatever it represents, appears. So I took the chart, and you'll see that we have the moon very close to Pallas Athena on the top of the chart. And I know why I'm saying it's on the top of the chart, because the event, the Panathenea, this is the glorious fest and for Athena, was always starting early in the morning, right before the sun rises. So here we see Saturn rising in Leo. And when we see this Leo thing, it's like we have something glorious. We have plenty of beauty. We have beauty. It's expensive. It's no other like this ever before. But also there is an arrogance that they later paid for. So that's the one. It's also a democratic thing, because it's a political system that was born from that moment. So Pallas Athena, it's the first one, is in Aries, and people, the moon, are very connected to that, very connected to Athena, right? It's the same, they're both together. The opposition that we have here is Jupiter in Libra. We have the arts, we have justice, supposed equality, because for them it was equality, even though now we know that people who were poor or women were not voting for their own system. There was justice. And this was all given further to other people, to the rest of the world. Also, this Mars opposition to Neptune, which is in the same sign, right? To the sign that rules. And we also have Neptune in Pisces right now. Anyway, what I'm saying is it can represent this battle between Athena and Poseidon. Actually, for me, this Mars in Virgo has a little bit of qualities, Athenian qualities of this, because it's the joy of Mars there. So there are some common themes about Mars here and Pallas Athena. So, but on the other hand, it's like feeling Mars Neptune is not always good. It also shows that they had, you know, an expansive force, and believing too much into themselves, which they later paid for that. We also have Pluto in Capricorn, and at this moment, in this specific moment, I want to tell you something. Do we have Pluto in Capricorn right now? Yes. Is it about to leave? Yes. So we see the glory right here of Pallas, of Athena, and at the end, soon after, very soon after, when Pluto left Capricorn, Athena actually collapsed in this form of glory that they had. And so before 2020, I was thinking about this 24-degree and now 28-degree that Pluto is transiting. And I was wondering, what about democracy? What is going to happen? How democratic parties, or no, it's not parties, how democracy is going to continue and what is going to change politically and worldwide. And we are witnessing a few changes and things are happening. I don't want to talk about politics, but I'm saying that society is changing also in the social and political level, right? And I don't want to go through the fact that in reality, one face was a temple and the other face, which people could not see, was keeping money and keeping the money from Delphi. So they brought it and from Delos. So we talked about the 24th degree and 28. I showed that to you. And I also told you about how things are changing worldwidely and what is the new phase of the world. So in 2020, we had this Jupiter, Saturn, of course, Saturn and Pluto conjunction. Sorry, I had to write here Jupiter, Pluto, I wanted to write, sorry. It was Jupiter, Pluto, and Pallas. So the Jupiter-Pluto conjunction happened 3 times, as we know, in 2020. We have the dates here, April the 5th and June the 30th, November the 12th. What was amazing and extremely amazing was that in all 3 conjunctions, you can see that Pallas was not only involved, extremely close. Here only 1 degree apart, here 24 degree, and here 22. And actually in the 3rd one, it was only a minute apart from the rest of the conjunction. So it means that the new world that we are witnessing, and we can see it, and it's hard, it's not easy, there is going to be a change involved in terms of Pallas, of strategy, of wisdom, of having to see things in another way, of being more being able to open up to new, not only opportunities, but to new concepts and new perspectives. So this, I used to say before, even before that, we're going to see changes that has to be done in women's rights, in children's rights, in LGBTQ communities. People have to see all this, accept it is one reality, that it is happening, and we have to respect the difference, the uniqueness of everyone. Okay, and it's true that I live in Greece. Of course, I see what's going on in Greece. Immediately after, one after the other, we had scandals, we had things around women, things around children, things about this kind of these communities. We have seen these changes happening. But as I told you, we will see also changes happening in terms of political systems. So let me start now by showing you some charts to see events in very important moments, let's say. Of course, it doesn't change the fact that we'll see the transits. Other transits are also happening. This doesn't change astrology. It's very important, but how they work together and how Pallas Athena is involved in exact conjunctions, squares, oppositions, I mean tight orbits. So Kim Kardashian. Maybe you don't like her. Maybe a lot of people don't like her, others adore her. It doesn't matter. Why I'm showing you this chart is because she created something unique. She is a Libra with an exact opposition of Pallas, not exact, 2 degrees. And this I'm saying this because you will see why later. And as we all know, she wanted to be famous, she wanted to succeed, but the doors were closed, at least in the way she wanted to do it. So Pallas Aries, what did she do? She did it in her own way. She started using the social media at the time that nobody was using it in that form. And she had managed to succeed through that, become very rich. And she also opened the doors to the rest of the people on the way that they're using Twitter, Instagram, you know, making it its trade form platform. A second one, we know that she, if I'm not mistaken, she studied like a lawyer. She wanted to do studies over there. So Pallas is that. Pallas Athena, as we said earlier, has to do with law and courts and the justice system. I'm not saying that she's the best lawyer. I'm just saying that what she also followed, right? I told you about surrogate births, and it was extremely interesting, the fact that when she had her daughter, Chicago, that was in 2018, there was a return through transit of Pallas, which was exactly opposing her son. And at the same time, you know, in the second house, I own, it's mine. It's not an object. I'm talking about equating, you know, getting something, having something. This is her child through another woman, female, Venus and Sun together in Saturn. This happened through another person that assist her having her daughter. Also, I don't have the chart. I don't have to go into through all these details. But when she had also, when her daddy died, also Pallas was in her Aries. And I'm saying that because she also has the Pluto, which is very close to her sun, and Pluto and Pallas Athena, the asteroid opposition or hard aspects, can bring, you know, events that have to do with death and losing something or somebody. I'm going to continue now with some events that you can see how they're working. What time is it? So I don't take a lot of time. Oh my God, I have to rush. So Winston Churchill, we see that he has also a Pallas in Aries with Neptune. She has like a kite also. Why I'm saying I'm bringing up Winston Churchill chart is when there was a war in Dardanelles. We see that both of his progress, the Pallas Athena and Neptune, were direct. And this was an event and decision, and what he had done, like fighting in Dardanelles, that actually destroyed his fame, and it was a great mistake from his part. Of course, the Ottomans were much smarter, and they won the Dardanelles, in the Dardanelles Wars. What's amazing here is the fact that at the same time, there was a battle in the waters, and this is Pisces. This is the transit. This is Pallas and Mars, exact conjunction in Pisces, squaring his sun. And of course, here it was Uranus, opposite Uranus and Saturn together. Moon was coming, but keep this 14th degree of Aquarius, because when he decided that he wanted to go to war, that was 25 years later, and they asked him to, you know, be in the head of England. This time it was the sun over the same degree, 14th degree. Remember, it was Uranus, and then Pallas Athena was exactly opposing his sun, his progressed sun. Also, Pallas has transited, you know, changed sign, and it was now in Taurus, this was more stable and more steady and had to do with securing, how to take decisions, securing the land, right? And just a little detail, in August the 7th, 1940, when the Operation Lion, Sea Lion was decided, but didn't happen, Jupiter-Saturn was at 14 degrees of Taurus. And here we see Jupiter and Saturn transiting over his progressed Pallas Athena. We have Margaret Thatcher. Margaret Thatcher, she has a Pallas Athena in 25th degree of Gemini. We also know that she was a writer, and in the 8th house, of course, we know that her husband financed her studies, her later studies, that had to do also with barrister training, which has also to do with the law. So when she became the first female, let me see, sorry, because here I don't see it. Sorry, I have to download this. How can I hide this? I'm sorry. Carol, can I ask something?
Yes, go right ahead.
How can I hide video panel? How do I do that? I have to...
I'm sorry.
Okay. I found it. Sorry.
You found it?
Something.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, because it was created me a problem. Sorry, and I have moved on. So we have Margaret Thatcher, who was the first. I'm so sorry. It has moved ahead. Not Christine Lagarde. Here. Okay, here we go. So we know that Margaret Thatcher was the first woman who took the leadership, in a Conservative Party, and this happened in 1975. When it happened, look at this, which is amazing. We have this progressed moon, which is right on her natal Pallas, and the progressed one because it has turned, and the transiting Pallas in Aquarius is opposing her moon. You see exact aspects, I mean, very tight aspects, but it's going to be tighter in a while. Because when she became the first female prime minister in 1979, we have progressed Uranus and progressed Pallas. When you see Uranus and Pallas together, this is politics. This is a way to win. Not only in politics, in generally, this is a very, very lucky and productive aspect of Pallas for a person. We also have the transit, as I told you, again aspecting her moon, but this time it's in exact conjunction. And we have the power here because it was eclipsed on March 13. Christine Lagarde, Pallas Athena is right on her MC, one of the most powerful placements, and it's in Capricorn, giving leadership, giving somebody who's going to show itself and have a very great impact in the society, to do something great. Or we're talking about a person who is extremely, extremely ambitious. And so she was the first woman in France to be a Minister of Economic Affairs. Look at that. We have Pallas and Uranus exact conjunction, which is doing what? Squaring her nodes. And also Jupiter is there helping her, assisting her. And progress Pallas Athena is right on her Venus, which is the ruler of the ascendant. So this is important. It's coming. Pallas Athena is coming right there. See what's going on next time. Later on in 2011, she assumed duties as the first female head of the International Monetary Fund. And here we have a grand trine, Mars and Saturn from transit, right? But it's not only from transit, it's also Pallas involved. Unbelievable. And it's Pallas and Mercury through progression right on the ruler of her ascendant. So you see, this gave her extreme power. We have to always remember where planets are coming from, right? Here it's coming from the MC. But here you see the power that she had and what she managed to do, to obtain and to achieve, sorry. Another one, here I'm going to say Maria Theresa of Austria. So I'm not going to go through her chart. I'm going to say that it's at times where, you know, the kings, no, actually the husbands could not become kings if they were not the right. It was her, Maria Theresa of Austria, that date that I have here, that she made her husband co-ruler. And look at this. So progressed Sun, Saturn, and progressed Pallas Athena in exact opposition, same degrees. What happens? Uranus in the 7th house, which is squaring again exactly the planet. Saturn is the ruler of the 7th house. You see how she wanted to have her make equal her husband to be like a co-ruler with her, giving respect to a person that you are with or somebody else who you love. Queen Victoria, also she has a Pallas and Mercury conjunction, and Mercury, she's a Gemini, right? So Mercurian person. I'm gonna go quickly to that. When she married Prince Albert, whom she loved, and he helped her a lot, she had a Jupiter, Pallas Athena, progressed exact square. And what is Jupiter? Is ruling the 7th house. At the same time, exactly, Jupiter by transit opposes Pallas and squares Jupiter in her progress chart. Also, it was the moon, I don't know the time, of course, but the moon was right on, has passed right on her Pallas Athena and progressed. Now, another thing that I want you to see, you will see how it works. This point here, we have Chiron by transit opposing Pallas Athena. Do you see 4th degree? 3rd degree, right? This is in a Cancer and in Capricorn. See next. What happens when her husband died? The lunar nodes were right there, the same degrees, and squaring this time Pallas. All this is by transit. She has an exact square of Pallas Athena with Pluto. We said that with Pluto you can see death, and working twice, Pluto by transit was right on her Pallas Athena and Mercury. So you see how it worked, and it gave an event that for her was very important and very life-changing. So Pallas is extremely involved in all the charts and the events that I'm showing you right now. So also we have Queen Elizabeth. She, that's important also. She had a natal Pluto Pallas Athena conjunction in Cancer, and she comes from an environment that her aunt, you know, gave up the throne for love. We have a trine here also. And she was always afraid about events that are happening, especially with love in that family. She had to protect them, but at the same time, she had to pay attention to the duties that she had. So she was always confronting this kind of thing. For herself, of course, she married somebody out of love. But later on, everybody had a scandal, heard something that they had to suppress, to keep secret in the family, keep the secrets, especially the love affairs. And also Venus is ruling also her 10th house, which is the duty that she has and protecting the crown, but also she's a Taurus. Now I'm going to go something that Pallas Athena can be seen also, keep that in mind, in big announcements. I have seen this a lot of times. I'm going to go through one chart, and this when Elizabeth in 1992, which was a very horrible year because all her children were getting divorced and she had all these problems. And she had a speech that was on November 24, and she said something very daring, that this year, 1992, was an annus horribilis. She made an announcement, and this was opposing Pluto and Pallas and Venus here by transit. She was saying that with from her heart. And yes, also Pallas had crossed over her moon, creating all these problems that she had to see and solve them with, okay, she was a bit cold, we know that. I wasn't involved, I don't know what was going on there, but in any case, she had to see it a little bit unemotionally, right? And that Saturn in Aquarius, it turned out that it wasn't lucky for her every time it passed over. Anyway, and I wanted to add a little detail that when we were going to have this transit of Pallas in Cancer, which is going to stay long. It was from September to May the 2nd. I had this impression that she might live. Of course, she was very old, but I thought it was going to be a little bit later when it was going to pass through Pluto. But in any case, the truth is she left this world when Pallas Athena was in the natal position in the first degrees, however. Here is Barack Obama. I wanted to give you also an example that he has a Mars Pallas Athena opposition. In which signs? This is in Pisces, and Mars has to fight for that. What is he known for, at least for us? That he has fought for, you know, the medical system. It's called the Affordable Care Act. He wanted to have more people being able to go to the hospitals. I don't know the details, but I'm talking about the health system that he had fought. It's like serving. So this day that he was elected, you see that Pallas is activated here by transit and right there on his natal natal aspect that he has. So it means that, again, in politics and doing something for the world, or having to give something, Pallas is again there. And his wife, Michelle, which I adore, I like her very much. She has a natal square of Pallas Saturn. We don't know the time of her birth. I actually don't know it. And she was also, she has studied a lawyer. She has this knowledge. She has this, how can I say it? She has worked like this as a lawyer. She has gone through academic studies. Isn't it amazing that the day of the elections, Mars was right on her Pallas, right on same degree? So she had the ability, she was giving the ability to make some changes through her own way, means that she wouldn't stay aside. Even though maybe she had to fight harder and she had to do double work, because Pallas and Saturn is not easy one. Of course, it gives this energy of having to do it the harder way, but bring back results. No, I'm not gonna go through Julian Assange now because we don't have time. I wanted to say that this is an actor in Greece, and he wanted to go down to be elected for the European elections. And he just asked me, what do you think? Can I do it? Can I make it? Will I make it? And so I didn't look anything else other than the fact that his progressed moon was right on his progressed together and progressed Pallas. So he's an actor. There were other politics that were very strong and very well known and re-elected in the past. Can you believe it that he came first in votes and he was actually elected? I'm not saying that he's going to be re-elected, but this was like a miracle that everybody in the television, in the news, was saying that was a miracle. Where did he come from? So this is like, for me, it was an indicator that yes, that for some reason Pallas wants him. Same, no, here I'm going to go for Meghan Markle. Everybody knows about Meghan and what has happened. So in 2020, in January 8th, as far as I know, it was that date, they made an announcement with her husband that they wanted to leave anyway from these royal duties. And so it was January 13th that they actually announced it through after having informed the palace. So here, look at that. The moment that this decision, which is huge, to leave the palace, and she wants to stop having all these royal duties, progressed. Mars was at the same degree as Pallas, natal Pallas in Leo, and she has all these royal planets. But as soon as Mars came right on, out of progression, she could do things, but she decided to do it in her own way and live. And also during the moment of these days, Pallas was squaring, transitive Pallas was squaring her progress one. I told you about electing, right? So when you had the elections in the United States, everybody was saying, we don't know. Of course, I have looked at it too. It was like equal back then. Couldn't have an easy result or conclusion of who's gonna win and blah blah. But then what happened was on August 11th of 2020, Joe Biden announced that he was going to have Kamala Harris with him. And so I looked at the chart, and what do I see? I see that progress Moon is and progress Pallas Athena are right together, are combined together, have met, okay, in conjunction. And honestly, that was written on Facebook. It's not a political preference. It's a result. And I say, now I know that Joe Biden is going to be the next president, because this gave him the promise through a female, making a decision through a female person. I'm not going into politics, just saying the results, okay? I don't, this is not any preference or I care. And also for him, he has a natal exact square of Pallas and Mars. And here in Aquarius, as I told you, either in Aquarius or with Uranus, is an aspect or a sign that can give politics too. So Pallas Athena is a minor, planet. Okay, it's the second asteroid to have been discovered after Ceres. That was in March, on March 28th, and it was in the 1802 by the German astronomer Heinrich Wilhelm Olbers. And the orbital period around the Sun is 1,686 days. That's around 4 years and 62 days approximately. And Pallas has a very high eccentricity and a high inclined orbit, and that also describes me that she is a bit of eccentric. She goes other way, on the other way. She doesn't use the ordinary way to think of things. Let's say now how is manifested in a chart or in a transit maybe. Okay, so what we do through Pallas, what she wants to give us, it's the power of intellect to use it as a strategic tool. So when Pallas is in Aries, or maybe in the first house or in aspect to Mars, it gives leadership abilities, wants you to use leadership abilities. When we're not there, when the chart has not, you have to find it through that. It's innovation, strongly motivated to fight against all odds, only to be proven either right or wrong. This is like Kim Kardashian. I told you, when she couldn't do it the usual way, she created the way, she opened the way. So this is what Pallas in Aries asked. If you can follow it, if you can go through that, you create your own way. So there is also an abundance of energy. Pallas in Taurus, from the second house or in aspect to Venus, this Pallas is connected to the senses and the physical world, arts and beauty, nature, environment awareness, also land and possession. That's why it can help somebody. If you have Pallas in the Taurus, maybe you can have as a profession, or make money through selling, architect, or redecorating, usually, these property things. It's logical and grounded, and it needs proofs. And that the thing of the need proofs, it reminds me of Julian Assange, who has a palace in Taurus. He wanted proofs, so he leaked the documents because he wanted to prove how things are. Okay. Pallas in Gemini has to do with knowledge. Third house or in aspect to Mercury. So it has to do, of course, with knowledge, communication, and writing, ability to bring down new ideas into form of words and fight through words. But I have an advice here because I have seen it a lot. With Pallas in Gemini, you have to listen more and talk less. The weapon of Pallas in Gemini is to use what others tell you or were saying. The information can be a weapon for you that you can use it. So don't take for granted also what they say. You have to be able, people have to be to try and cultivate understanding, deepening, and taking words down into understanding the essence of what's behind that. Pallas in Cancer, just like we saw with Queen Elizabeth. So it has to do with a lot with empathy, with understanding the feelings and emotions and needs of others. You have to go through that. It, of course, has to do with home, family, the country, the patriotism or nationalism, and of course, the protection of our family, of our land. It's right now, Pallas Athena is in Cancer. We're going to see all these things, occupying us a lot, or grabbing our attention. Pallas in Leo, that royal one, like that we saw that Meghan Markle has, or in the 5th house or in aspect to the sun, be on the front line and lead. Has a lot of arts and drama, theater, music, and all these kind of arts. It has a lot of creativity and expression. When Pallas Athena in Leo is suppressed or telling her not to express herself, it feels suffocating, doesn't feel right. So the person will always try to find the ways to express themselves and create. Okay. There is an originality in ideas and, of course, connected to the heart. And as they say in Delphi, know thyself, right? Be able to know and understand the self. Pallas in Virgo, the 6th house or in aspect to Mercury, this is the detailed and strategically oriented Pallas. Has a lot to do with serving and healing, has to do a lot with therapy, with purification, and separating what's useful and what's not useful. It's like going to the warehouse and throwing out whatever it's not working. So there is an obligation also there. There might be some kind of depression sometimes when you're very trying to find things to see all the details. This is not helpful at all. So trying to purify the mind, the heart, the soul, and the spirit. Pallas in Libra, it's a peacemaker, and searching for connection with other people, either through the relationships, marital ones, or friendships, or through work. The weapon is using diplomacy, being able, to be more polite, if or not using the war, but being able to, trying to use first negotiations before you fight back. And has to do with bringing balance and justice. And of course, it's very good in counseling because people is like, they're coming to you just to know, give them advice and so on. Pallas in Scorpio, very deep one, in the 8th house or in aspect to Pluto. This is a power of penetration, understanding, seeing behind, going very deeper to the core of the darkest corners of one's psychology and conscious. And that is not an easy process, right? Because as we said, there might be control issues. There might be like the person thinks that or tries or wants to manipulate in order to keep themselves, safe. So here is facing the fears, or sometimes creating fears to yourself or to the others. There are regenerating abilities, money issues, of course, We saw about the Margaret Thatcher that she was financed all the time. The Pallas was in the 8th house. Her husband was the one that was supporting her dream, her vision, and her ambitions, right? We talked about manipulation and control. And we have Pallas in Sagittarius in the 9th house, or in aspect to Jupiter, in aspect with the father. So this is fighting for higher ideas. This is a definite need for perception and understanding. It's growing, not limiting the self, sorry. It has to do with freedom, sometimes with religion. And we know when it comes to religion or beliefs or whatever, sometimes we can be dogmatic. So this is something that has to be surpassed. So no, and the mind has to open, not be small and closed. Pallas in Capricorn. This is, and as I told you, in the 10th house or in aspect to Saturn, it's extremely, extremely strong. I have seen it to many very successful people and very ambitious people. Here, they're fighting to create own or maintain social structure and tradition. This is changing tradition, changing the structures, gives a lot of authority. Of course, they're going to find a way to be with the strong ones, with the ones that already have a power. They always be close to the powerful ones. It has to do with law, recognition and career, as it was said, but above all has to do with maturity and helping others also become mature. So you are like leading figure. You have to be a leading figure, but not in order to control the others. Pallas in Aquarius. So this is, as I told you, very political position in aspect to Uranus, especially, and or in the 11th house, has to do with social structures, revolution and change. We saw women for the first time becoming, taking power in places that women were not allowed. We saw others making the huge difference, coming to make the change. So it's not only looking at the future, but it's creating the one. Causes and movements. This is like a rebellion thing. It's like, I want to change, has to move on. Technology, Pallas Athena is connected to technology in all signs, especially here in Aquarius. But in ancient theaters, she appeared like a machine god. I don't know how it's called. You can say that in English, but anyway, she was kind of like a machine. She gives technology, robotics, and etc. So here it works with groups, and it is humanitarian. Finally, Pallas in Pisces, or 12th house, or in aspect to Neptune. So we said that this is the rival thing, right, to Neptune, but here it has to work. We saw Barack Obama. This is service, has to do with hospital, has to do with taking care of others. It gives intuition and psychic abilities. I tell you, I have the same Pallas placement in Pisces. And sometimes you hear a voice. There is a voice back there and gives you the knowledge without understanding where it comes from. So here the person has to start trusting something other than what's obvious and what's there. There's imagination and great ideals, dreams and aspirations. So the soul can speak, or the person can speak to the soul of the others. It's like touching the emotions. There's a spiritual guidance, and of course, sacrifice and compassion are needed to be cultivated in order, to come close to Pallas Athena. So I think that is all, and thank you very much. Did I take a lot of time? Oh my God, sorry.
Oh, that was absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, Angela.
Thank you.
First of all, it's so wonderful to see you again. It's been so many years, and it's just lovely to see you. But this was a fantastic presentation, and I was just wondering if you had a few more minutes for a couple of questions.
Definitely.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's see, we've got Noah, and he is asking, I hadn't heard that bit about Pallas throwing her helmet and shield onto Zeus's feet. Where does that particular mythology come from?
Okay, I have to tell you how I know that. Noah, I am Greek and I live in Greece. So all the myths that we have a lot of books and we have a lot of versions and we have these teachings at school. All the myths that are translated, because I know that I have seen it, there is a general idea of what is going on, but there are so many versions. Of course, not all versions are presented or translated. Understand what I'm saying? So this is how we were taught in school, and this is how this is in our teachings in the books at school. So this is the teachings that we have. She had to sow, obedience. Sorry, the word. She had to sow obedience, and also I'm ready. I'm here. So throwing it on the feet, I'm saying that she did that. Okay, bending. I can sow it. She did that. I'm on your service, but of course it was on her service. She did whatever she wanted.
Thank you. We have another question here. And this is from someone anonymous. So is Pallas Athena presenting more of ideology than science? Because all the changes we are seeing are based on new ideologies.
Yes, but it can be combined. It can be both. It can be like one path of ideology and one path has to do with technology. Isn't it technology that he asked me, the anonymous? Technology, yeah. This doesn't have to collide with each other. This can be parallel things happening because Ephesus and Pallas Athena, okay, they created the first robot. People don't know that. It was a tripod, and this was in Homer, and the academics have explained that. They are creating auto-moving objects that are coming, So Pallas, through the mental perception that she has, she can give back of what to do in terms of the technology and evolution. Okay, it's not only the ideology that can take you ahead and move on. It's technology, it's changing, this changes. Because of Aquarius and Uranus, it's very strong, this placement or this aspect.
Interesting, thank you.
And I want to add something else, sorry.
Yes, go right ahead.
So having this research separately for Athena, of course, has not given me yet all the answers. I mean, understand it's brand new. Asteroids are new, and we are all, trying to understand what's going on. And I am reading a lot about the archetype of Athena as it was in the beginning. And there are lots of references from poets and from writers and, talking about Athena, which gives something of what she represents. And on the other hand, I was supposed to have the book ready, but as I see all these events happening, I am trying to see more and more. I mean, you have to see it more in reality, with the charts, with the events, when it's active, what's going on, what it can give. Understand what I'm saying? So we are still studying and see it. I have to be honest with that.
Yes, yes, of course. That's wonderful. Thank you. And this is a question I'm not sure if you'll be able to answer or not. It's from Marlene, and she's talking about that there have been recent talks by Ron Tiggle saying that secondary progressions using the Baha calculations in solar fire give more accurate and exact hits. Since your chart examples have several exact secondary progressed hits, are you using that technique or fractional progressions in your calculations?
If I'm using what?
It's BIJA. It's either Bija or Baha. I've never used it before.
No, me neither.
Fractional progressions in your calculations.
Me neither. I'm not using it.
Okay. No. Okay. So Marlene, I would maybe go back and ask Ron about that too. Thank you. Sue is asking, could you show the first slide of Pallas in the signs houses again? Sue, we don't have a lot of time for that, so you'll be able to get this recording and you'll be able to review that, starting with Aries and going through the houses, because we are running a little bit late. So,
and for those who are interested, I can send an email, of course, with PowerPoint.
That's probably, I would not suggest that for you. Yes.
Okay.
They'll get a copy of the full recording, and what they can do is they can stop and they can stop at each and every slide if they choose on the PowerPoint when they get the recording. Yeah, because otherwise you'll get over.
Okay.
Yes. We like to give also our presenters a little bit more control over their presentations. Let's see. Catherine is saying more on Pallas and collective loss, like the pandemic. I think she's asking, is Pallas more like loss, like the pandemic? Was there a relationship with
loss
and the pandemic?
What I said about Pallas in 2020, okay, in this pandemic, this particular pandemic, what was going on, because the pandemic was like a restart of the world. We have to see 2020 as a restart. So Pallas came like the Trojan horse, entered in the Trojan horse in a society that already had other problems. So Pallas is not here to bring, illness and, take revenge of people. Just came inside, like to destroy from the inside and recreate a new social norms, or come closer to each other, or take care of each other, understanding problems of the others. And what I'm saying, it's like the Trojan horse in a society that was already having problems. This is how it came. It has nothing to do with giving problems through, health problems. Did you understand?
Wonderful.
Yeah, my English.
I think so. Yes. No, that was understandable to myself, and I think we'll take one more question, because I want to be cognizant of your time. I know you're extremely busy and we are running over. This is from Sean, and he says he has two questions. Can you talk about Pallas on an angle, natally or by transit? And have you seen a connection of Pallas in the family lines? He said, I just had a light bulb moment that my mother's son is on my Pallas.
Oh, yeah, that's wonderful. Yes, it does happen, having connections. It's like the mother or the father or person who's close to you. It's like passing you not only the knowledge of the mind, what's coming through to you, because each family has its own dynamic, and it's like they all have the same mentality, let's say. Only one might change, okay, but the family goes all together, and there is one giving the wiseness, the knowledge, okay, to each other, to the next one, to the next one. It's like teaching and remembering, because it's the past that brings us here. There are always connections, even to relationships, like falling in love with somebody through the work because you admire his mind. I've seen that a lot. I'm in love with him. He is very educated, and he has a position, and blah, blah, blah. And it's the Sun or Venus, are mostly the Sun with Pallas together, having these connections.
Yes, wonderful.
Falling in love with something else. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I think we are about out of time. I know that, let's see, there's just so many wonderful comments, and we could be here all day if I were to read them, because there's so many of them coming in, how they loved and enjoyed this presentation, how they've learned so much.
Oh, I'm so happy.
So thank you so much. Tina is asking, can Athena in the sixth inspiring self-healing?
Of course.
Yes.
Of
Okay.
course.
I snuck that one in, Tina. Very good. Angela, again, it was so wonderful to see you again. Thank you so much for all the work that you do for OPA, the articles that you write, your contribution to the OPA satellite, sharing your knowledge and grace and throughout the world. And we look forward to more of what you're doing. I think you're writing a new book too.
Yes. This is going to be Pallas Athena is going to be, one is that, and the other one I want to write because it pop-ups in front of me all the time is people born under eclipse.
Wonderful. Well, we look forward to more of that. And again, all of you will get the recording later on today as soon as I finish processing this. And it'll say recording link in your email. Be sure you save that.
It's gonna be in English.
Or
Sorry.
save that link, and you'll have Angela's website there. So you can just click on that. You can subscribe to her mailings. You can find out more about her services, her consultations, and what she's doing, her classes, anything that you might be interested in. And with that, thank you again, and thank you for joining us today. And please, again, I know Angela mentioned it earlier, but please keep in your prayers and thoughts all those in Turkey who are going through this terrible situation right now. So thank you for joining us, Angela.
Bye,
And everyone
everyone.
have a good day.
You too. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
Bye-bye now.